3FM 92.7. Facebook at 3FM 92.7. Follow us on social media. Twitter at 3FM 92.7. Facebook at 3FM 92.7. And also on 3news.com.
Hello, good evening. This is Hot Edition. We're live on news about Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey. We're also streaming live on Facebook at 3FM 927. Let's get into the headlines now. As the National Economic Dialogue proposes major reforms to ensure that the energy sector does not collapse, as well as other reforms to boost investment and enhance the nation's infrastructure. This evening, we'll engage a member of the committee that put together this dialogue. Also, the governor of the central bank, Dr. Johnson Pandit Esiama, reveals $230 million has been paid to the contractor working on the new headquarters building for the Bank of Ghana, with an outstanding balance of $31.8 million. Meanwhile, $11 million is required to furnish the building. Now, that raised some questions and concerns on the floor of Parliament earlier today. We're getting to it shortly. And health authorities in the Abais region intensify surveillance and public health measures following the deaths of some 2 people from meningitis. Details plus the latest in business and sports over the next 1 hour, 30 minutes here on Hot Edition. Remember, we're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get into the details of the stories now here on Hot Edition. The 2025 National Economic Dialogue concluded on March 4th, that's yesterday, after 2 days of intensive discussions among stakeholders from various sectors of the economy. The event focused on key economic challenges facing the country, including energy sector reforms, fiscal policy, and also sustainable development. During the dialogue, participants made recommendations aimed at improving Ghana's economic growth, particularly emphasis on policy reforms to boost investment, address energy challenges, and enhance the nation's infrastructure. Government officials expressed commitment to reviewing and adopting the proposals with the goal of fostering a more resilient and inclusive economy. The Minister of Finance, Dr. Kasiela Toforsen, will present all of these to the President, John Dramani Mahama, during the maiden budget of his second term on 11th of March, and is expected to inculcate some of the reforms in the budget and economic policy statement for the government. Professor John Gachi is a member of the Planning Committee for the National Economic Dialogue, joining us on the telephone right now. Prof. Gachi, appreciate your time. Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Now, listening to the proposals that were made as well, and then also with specific sectors in mind, was there any clear commitment that government expressed that it will indeed implement these recommendations in the communique as was read by Dr. Ishmael Yamson yesterday?
So we had 3 levels of commitment. One prior to the putting together of the committee, that the outputs will be adhered to in terms of influencing the budget and also influencing the medium to long-term economic policy agenda of the country. Then during the dialogue itself, the President, in his keynote address, also indicated quite clearly that he has a political will. This is the word that he used. He has a political will to implement the reforms that will be occasioned by the dialogue. Then the closing of the dialogue also saw the Vice President make similar commitments. Then before the Vice President made that commitment, the Finance Minister indicated that the communique that we gave is going to be his economic Bible that will be guiding him in his work. And other ministers also, when we gave them the opportunity during the high-level dialogue session, they made similar commitments. So there is ample commitment that have been made to warrant assurance to all of us.
The fundamental question here is that a number of these economic dialogues have been done in the past, and very soon I'm going to have Ken Thompson join us as well with his thoughts on this. So what is going to be done differently this time around with this economic dialogue that this administration has organized, which you were part of the committee that put this together? What's going to be different with this?
Well, I think you do know that in our recent history, two dialogues stand tall. The one that we just ended and the Senchi dialogue. The other dialogues, they are just a limited selection of people to deal with some of the issues confronting the state. We never got those outcome published. The public didn't show such interest in their work as to demanding some kind of responsibility and accountability to ensure that what we went to discuss to be some of the blueprint for the economic revival should be implemented for them. So far as I'm concerned, it was Senchi that engages the minds of the people, that everybody, every Ghanaian knew that there is a congregation of people at a point, and the purpose for which that congregation was made was to deliberate on the economy, profile some solutions to guide the management of the economy. And that really did some work that actually transformed the engagement with IMF, and then we saw some fruit of that, and then promised fruit in 2017, and all those things came to pass. It is our hope that having gone through the process, profile some solutions, the implementation will also provide benefit across board to the country. So that is my belief in what we have done, and that is my expectation of the implementation, and that is my expectation of the outcome when we do implement the recommendations.
See, and I wanted to hold on a bit for me and take a listen to, if you indulge me, Mr. Ken Thompson, who is a former CEO of Delex Finance, a financial analyst, who's been part of a number of these dialogues. He has a few questions for you as a member of the planning committee, which I'm going to ask you of. Kindly take a listen to him.
I didn't expect that we're going to hear something that we didn't know already. What I'm expecting is that we need, to have change, you need to really articulate a vision. And once you articulate that vision, you need to go on, you got to articulate the vision and keep going on about that vision. And that's the element that I hope is pulled out. Even more importantly, we've talked about what we want to do, which you know. We've talked about why we want to do it, which we know. But the next steps are, how are we going to do it, and how do we know that's been done? And unless those questions are answered, we're going to end up where we have been all these years. What are you going to do? Simple. Why are you doing it? How will you do it? And how do you know that's done? It's so simple, and so that it doesn't end up being a talk shop. The financial sector is a subset of the economy. For me, as someone in the finance sector, I believe that we need to increase local participation in the financial sector. There's no way this country will develop if its economy is controlled by foreigners.
So that's Ken Thompson then. This is to you, Professor Gachi. To have change, he says, articulate the vision which has been done and put it out there. The president did it. The finance minister did it. And you as a committee also, put it out there. What we want to do as a country, or what this government wants to do, is quite clear. Why they want to do this is quite clear. It is the how they want to do it, and then also as to whether we would be able to track the implementation of these recommendations in the communique. How do you answer these two questions?
Okay, so that is why I figure out two of the dialogue we had. If you look at this dialogue, it's open to the public. The public was aware of what was going on. There was a time where feedback from the various thematic sessions were made available or were open to the public to see and to know what they were being discussed and what were being proposed. Now it is in the public domain that in the energy sector, these were the solutions or recommendations that were given. In the growth sector, these were the recommendations that were given. In the private sector, these were the recommendations that were given. If we're indeed implementing that, it will be apparent to everybody to know that we are implementing what have been given to us at the dialogue. So now it is no more only a government document. It is now a public document that the media can track, that citizens can track, to be assured. They all were waiting for, and then we have gotten to the end of it. Is now at another level, that is implementation, and results are coming. So it is very clear how to track.
And then also,
I think he talked about the indigenization of the
financial sector,
Ghanaian economy, especially the financial sector.
Exactly.
I think those are fair comments that he has made. We are aware that the economy provide a space for indigenous people to participate and for external people to participate. We should ensure that we stand against eliminating the indigenous people from participating in the critical sectors. Number one, the financial sector. Number two, the extractive sector of the economy. Then number three, the technology sector of the economy. So you cannot say that only indigenous people to participate in it. You cannot also say only external people should participate in it. You should find a fine way of accommodating the two parties. That is what we are not able to do, especially during the banking sector cleanup. That we ended up eliminating a lot of private indigenous participation in the financial sector, and that was promised to be restored. Yesterday, the governor spoke to that effect. So it is also one of the recommendations to balance indigenization against foreign domination. So it.
Hello.
As part of the recommendation.
Right. And thank you, Professor Gachi. Please say a bit for me. Let's bring in Kojo Yauche, who is a policy lead for Petroleum and Convention. That's energy at the Africa Center for Energy Policy. ASAP is joining us right now on the telephone. Kojo, appreciate you. I know that the aspect of this dialogue that bothered on the energy sector was one that you followed quite keenly. We understand now that the ECG legacy debt, for instance, exceeds over $2 billion. In your view, I mean, what systematic factors may have contributed to the most significant crisis we're seeing right now?
Hello, Alfred.
Hello, can you hear me?
Again?
I'm sorry, if you can reposition yourself for us, because the connection to you is a bit cranky.
Is it better now?
It should be better. I was asking that, I mean, I know you did follow the conversations about the energy sector at the dialogue quite keenly. Now we know that the ECG's legacy debt exceeds $2 billion. I mean, from where you sit, what could have contributed to the woes of ECG as we have it now?
I think it is very good that we are having some of these exercises. And the various numbers that we see being channeled points to only one thing, that it is time that we get a full assessment of what the true numbers are. Because up till now, the numbers that are being thrown about, the IPPs have their version, the government had their version. So we need full disclosure and visibility on how much it is that we actually go. Now, for the debts that have accumulated to date, it's just a combination of a few factors that are highly stemmed in the managerial and operational inefficiency of the utility. The first of which is how poor we have operated in terms of revenue collection. For a utility that can go as much as not collect half of the receivables that are due, it's what that happens is that you are accumulating within the value chain payments, obligations that are due you and you are supposed to make. So once you don't make those, you don't honor those payment obligations, then of course they are going to stack up as debts. And we've been doing that for years now without any real approach to stopping the debt accumulation. Another contributing factor has been the procurement practices of ECG, where ECG enters into a lot of suboptimal contracts, contracts that are not delivering value for money. And in recent times, we made the exposure on ECG's contracts with a service provider, in this case, Haptel, for example, to collect revenue, essentially replacing a system that ECG had developed on its own and had operated for a number of years and could have only just upgraded it with a few technical adjustments here and there. But, I mean, they are okay feeding 3% of revenues that are collected, total revenues that are collected, to another entity to be able to do the same things that they are able to do. There are instances of meters that have been procured, meters that are not fit for purpose, that have been procured and left to rot. So all of these things, you have a company that is not collecting enough, one, then the little that it collects, it is not efficient in the expenditure. These things all come together to create a situation of the debt that we have as we have now.
I see, and then there have been some measures outlined to deal with this, the efficiency issues with ECG. Private participation is top of the list. Is it one that, from ASAP's perspective, would help in the talk about at least turning around the fortunes of ECG, because the Public Utilities Workers Union think otherwise?
I think for now it is clear that there is some consensus on the way forward. I mean, the issues that have brought us here, that I've enumerated, are largely managerial and operational. It boils down to how the company is being run. It's not being run with a commercial orientation. There is no businessman that will do business and not be able to receive 50% of its receivables year in, year out, and will continue to operate. But because it is a government entity, and government will always come in to subvent it to pay for the shortfalls to the tune of about $1.5 billion every year. There is that comfort within the system to continue to perpetuate the inefficiency. So, yes, that is the right approach to go now. Let's get a private entity, a genuine private entity that comes into the space. We set certain KPIs in terms of collection, in terms of management, in terms of operation, in terms of service time, service delivery for that entity, and allow the regulator, which is the PULC, to regulate the entity and ensure that the right things are being done. I think that is the only way that we can save the budget from that heavy burden, because as we speak now, the energy sector is the biggest dependent on the budget, and that takes away all the fiscal space that we need to invest in roads, build schools, hospitals, to improve the social welfare of the people. We can't continue business like this, and something has to give at this point. And at this point, it is that we have to introduce some private sector participation into the management and operations of the utility.
Kojo, I appreciate you for this. And Prof. Gachi, and we'll conclude on this one. I mean, if we're going to have to go on this path again, this is not the first time we've attempted some private participation in the management and the operations of ECG. We've had PDS right from 2014 until that whole arrangement was terminated. What should be done differently this time around?
Well, I think we need to boldly embrace private participation, especially PPP, as is the way forward to governance infrastructure development and efficiency and building of businesses in the country. I think we have held back a lot in terms of our commitment towards PPP arrangement. If I'm not mistaken, we have seen no or very little effect of PPP arrangement in road construction and rail development in the country. We have a lot of things in this country that can be done through private engagement, but it seems that as a nation, we are so conservative, we are afraid even how to release land for hostels for students. We are so timid about that, but when you go to London, you go to other cities across the world, most of the infrastructure are done through private participation. So I believe when we allow that, that will also be injecting efficiency, less corruption, etc. So I believe that is what we should be doing. Then again, we should prioritize the best for each of the sectors. You can't put up an entity and describe that as a state-owned entity, which means the part of the state that should behave like a private sector. But yet, when you are selecting people to the sector, you are not mindful about their expertise. Then you interfere in their operations. You come with subsidies which are not well targeted, and you allow procurement which are very destructive and make money only in the hands of individuals and not for the entity. So unless we are able to clean up these things, we will not be able to go much with these things that we are discussing about. So we have a choice to make now to decide to do the right thing and to save the country.
Professor Gachi, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us. Professor John Gachi is a member of the National Economic Dialogue Planning Committee, and also joining us on the other line is Kojo Yaoche, a policy lead for petroleum and energy at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. Away from that, let's still say on matters of finance and the economy, because the Bank of Ghana Governor, Dr. Johnson Esiama, says there is the need for an independent body to assess if indeed some $261.8 million new Bank of Ghana office complex project delivers value for money. Now, the building's price tag ballooned from an initial $81.8 million to over $250 million after redesigns and some recommendations, security upgrades, and also some added infrastructure, which expanded the square meter on which this building was supposed to be situated. Now, briefing parliamentarians earlier today on the cost of the project, Dr. Isiama revealed $230 million has already been paid to contractors, with some $31.8 million still owed the contractors of this Bank of Ghana building. Taxes and levies added another $43.8 million. Separate contracts for security systems, ICT networks, and furniture pushed cost even higher. The governor blamed the statutory requirements and sustainability needs for the overrun.
The board will... Mr. Speaker, in 2020, the land was acquired at West Ridge, and I am informed that a competitive procurement process that was approved by the Public Procurement Authority led to the selection of Mr. Goldkey Properties Limited as the contractor under a turnkey arrangement. Mr. Speaker, the project was initially valued by the PPA at $81.8 million, but later increased to $121.1 million after the Bank of Ghana requested for re-evaluation. This was revised again to $222.8 million, and I'm just rounding off, Mr. Speaker, after the redesign and inclusion of building management systems. Mr. Speaker, there were also statutory requirements, security needs, and sustainability considerations. As a result, the total project cost increased to $261.8 million. Mr. Speaker, as of February this year, a total of $230 million approximately has been paid towards the project, with an outstanding balance of $31.8 million to be paid to the contractor.
As the governor of the central bank, this multi-million-dollar office complex has been embroiled in controversy following concerns over lack of transparency for the contract and related procurement matters. In October 2023, the NEC Minority Caucus staged a demonstration to demand a full disclosure on the project cost, especially. Now, Governor Isiama has pledged to seek board approval for an independent audit, calling it necessary to address the lingering questions.
The board will delve into this. There are some residual matters that I cannot talk about, even aside the value for money issues. And given that no value for money has been done so far, given what I've been told by the project team, I think it makes sense to engage an independent agency. It helps all of us to benchmark. And so we will seek the authority of the board, and as Honorable Ayariga, Majority Leader, has demanded, we will get answers to those specific questions, after which we are happy to report back to leadership of Parliament.
As the governor of the central bank, we're going to come back to this particular story and have a quick engagement on it. But let's do this quickly, because we're getting information that health authorities in the Upper East region have intensified surveillance and public health measures following the deaths of some 2 people from meningitis. At a press briefing, the Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Samuel Boateng, disclosed that the Directorate is currently dealing with some 31 suspected cases of the disease recorded between the first week of January and March. He said 2 of the suspected cases have been confirmed in 2 districts of the region. The Upper East becomes the second region to record meningitis-related deaths this year after the Upper West region. Let's go on to the telephone lines now. Castro Senyala is our Upper East regional correspondent. Is connecting with us on the telephone. Castro, what more do we know about this disclosure by the regional health director?
Right, Alfred, you've said everything as far as the report is concerned, but what the regional health directorate is stressing is the fact that they are committed to ensuring the well-being of residents, and so for that matter, a stakeholder engagement has already kick-started, and in the coming days, a lot more stringent measures will be taken, including heightened education and public engagement to ensure that, the movement of people into the region, though cannot be stopped, at least people's awareness is created so that they know how to deal with people who move into the region, especially from the neighboring region, which is the Upper West region, where there's been a higher number of cases and deaths as far as the meningitis outbreak is concerned. Also, the regional directorate has stressed that what the Upper East region is facing can be considered or can be labeled as an outbreak because it hasn't gotten to a level where it can be described as being fatal as compared to the Upper East region. And so they are of the view that it is still under a manageable level, and for that matter, it's nothing that should raise eyebrows. But that notwithstanding, a lot more precautionary measures need to be put in place, especially on the side of residents, by way of washing hands, covering their mouths and noses if they suspect anything or if they are coughing, and to report early signs and symptoms of the disease to the appropriate health authorities. Also, Alfred, the region is not only particular about about meningitis. They are also very much particular about cholera, which has also been a very silent killer in the past years. And so, for that matter, the region also says, the directorate also says that as they are tackling the issue of meningitis, they are also putting their focus on cholera. And as other regions are doing, they have also activated an emergency mechanism, which is to educate people and also to let them understand that cholera is a silent killer, and for them to do what they are supposed to do as far as hand washing is concerned to avoid, needless deaths related to the disease. Alfred, this is what the Upper East Regional Director of Health Services has been saying. Let's listen to what he had to say.
The Upper West region, since the beginning of 2025, from epidemiological week 1 to epidemiological week 9, that's from 1st January to 2nd of March 2025, has recorded a total of 196 suspected cases. 34 were confirmed in 17 days, giving a case fatality rate of 50%, unfortunately. Of the confirmed cases in Upper West region, 30 were Streptococcus pneumonia, 1 Neisseria meningitis species, 1 case having both Streptococcus pneumonia and Neisseria meningitis, and 2 were Haemophilus influenzae. Now to Upper East region, from week 1 to week 9, that is from 1st January to 2nd March 2025, we have recorded a total of 31 suspected cases, 2 confirmed cases, and 2 deaths, and all were confirmed as Streptococcus pneumonia. For regional preparedness and response in the event of an outbreak, the Upper East Regional Health Directorate, in collaboration with key stakeholders, especially now we have the environmental director here, the veterinary service department here, have put in the necessary measures to safeguard the health and well-being of all residents.
So that's a bit more detail in there, and before I let you go, Castro, with this news, what have the residents been saying to you? How have they been reacting to this particular information from the Regional Health Directorate?
It appears the Regional Health Directorate has not made this public yet, but as we are all aware, and residents have been, alerted, because we are neighbors to the Upper West region. The incidence of the meningitis is something that people are well aware of, that it may be transported into our region. And so, for that matter, a lot more has already been going on in terms of education on local radio stations and even marketplaces by the regional health directorate with assistance from the district level directorates. And so what the regional directorate is simply saying is that we as a media should propagate the message and let the people understand that now there is a time for them to go back to practicing what they used to do during the era of COVID-19, which is hand washing and all other hygienic practices. And so for residents, they have not really been alerted. And in the coming days, when the news finally gets out, I'm sure they will do more as far as continuing with, ensuring their safety against meningitis is concerned. Alfred.
Well, let's get a bit more from the regional health director on this matter.
Since October 2024, a total of 6,405 suspected cases have been reported in the 5 affected regions earlier mentioned, with 719 probable cases epidemiologically linked and 561 confirmed cases, with 49 deaths, unfortunately. In response to the cholera outbreak, the Ghana Health Service conducted reactive oral cholera vaccination (OCV) campaigns in the affected hotspots. All regions, including Upper East region, activated emergency response mechanisms, including heightened disease surveillance and public education on cholera prevention, strengthening water sanitation and hygiene wash initiatives, safe drinking water provision, and improved sanitation practices are being promoted to prevent the spread of cholera.
That's him there. And Chris, that's Castro. Before I let you go quickly, we just got some information from the NPP in the region. If you could just confirm this for us, that some 23 constituency executives and members of the NPP in the Upper East region have been indefinitely suspended from the party for various acts of misconduct. Has this come to your notice as yet?
Fred, it has come to my notice, except that the regional executive wing has yet to, speak to the media, apart from the statement that we understand has been issued. Since morning, I've been trying to speak to the regional chairman, lawyer Anthony Namo, but he's been out of reach. And so in the coming days or by tomorrow, we're hoping that we'll get in touch with him to ask him more further questions. But we understand that the suspension began from the Pusiga constituency, that is in the Boko Enclave, where we understand that some people were relieved of their positions for engaging in acts the party describes as not, not part of what they want leadership to do. But the issue has to do with the fact that because of the volatile nature of the Boko Enclave, some executives, party executives, are beginning to take a leave from party activities for their own security and that of their families, because, in the heat up to the elections, certain, gang, or should I say armed gang members were threatening executives, especially from that portion or that part of the region, for their affiliation to the then governing New Patriotic Party and now the opposition New Patriotic Party, sending them stern warnings to stay away from the activities, or they will be, sort of harmed in a way. And so it's not surprising that some of them have decided to act this way. And the resultant effect now is that the party has had to, take them off or relieve them of their positions. But then we understand that all these people who have so far been, taken off or relieved of their posts have also been protesting and calling for proper investigations into their alleged misconduct and the right decisions taken. And so we're looking forward to whatever happens, and we'll keep our listeners up to speed with development.
And we can definitely trust you for that. Castro, thank you so much for the update.
Thank you, Alfred.
Castro Senyola is our Upper East regional correspondent, and is the news we just ended with, just coming through, is that some 23 constituency executives and members of the New Patriotic Party in the Upper East region have been indefinitely suspended from the party for various acts of misconduct. The suspended individuals include 6 constituency executives from Pusiga, 16 former and current current constituency executives from Timpani and one member from the Bosa South constituency. Letters have been served individually to the affected persons, informing them of their suspension, and those who held executive positions before the suspension have been directed to stop holding themselves out as executives of the MPP in the region until the Regional Disciplinary Committee completes full investigations into their offences. Confirming the incident, our police regional correspondent, you just heard him there giving some further detail. You can find more of it on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. Also, 3FM 927 on Facebook. And this is Hot Edition. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Now, to some more stories, the legal team of the governing National Democratic Congress has accused the first respondents in the election petition case of deploying deliberate tactics to delay proceedings. The ruling party is contesting the 2024 parliamentary results for Obuasi East, Ahafo North, and Ahafo Southwest in the Ashanti region. Ibrahim Abubakar has more in the following report.
After securing a substituted service to bring the legal proceedings to the attention of the respondents, lawyers of the first respondent filed a motion to set it aside when they appeared before a Kumasi High Court on Wednesday, March 5. Their reason, the process upon which they were served was irregular, hence the decision to file the motion. But counsel for the petitioners is of the view that lawyers for the respondents just want to use technicalities to delay the case.
They said that they have not been served. Interestingly, yesterday, we filed the same processes at the registry of this court on the same day. And the three processes were to go to the same law firm. But yesterday, they said they were served with the Havana Southwest affidavit in opposition and that of Obuasi East. But they are claiming that they have not been served that of Havana North. I'm going to make sure and take steps to get them served. When they file this process, they dump it at the registry of the court. I have to chase it myself to get myself to be served with the process. So everything they are doing is a clear indication of a ploy to delay this matter. But we're not going to fall for their tactics. And we'll make sure that this matter gets its logical conclusion as early as possible.
The petitioners are seeking the annulment of the declaration of the 2024 parliamentary results for Obuasi East, Ahafo North, and Ahafo Southeast constituencies.
You heard a report by my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar there. So live here on Hot Edition. Let's cross over to Parliament now, where the debate on the present State of the Nation address is ongoing. Let's hear from members of Parliament.
The President came to this House to fulfill his constitutional obligation of giving the message of the State of the Nation. But, Mr. Speaker, I believe that this House almost unanimously have now agreed that that statement was indeed a message of lamentations. And I think all of us are agreeable on that. Mr. Speaker, but in spite of that, in spite of the impression the President wanted to give to the country, data and facts are sacrosanct, and the data and the facts confirms clearly, Mr. Speaker, that the state of our national economy, which was bequeathed to President Mahama, which nobody can dispute indeed, is that we had a higher economic growth than our friends from the other side, that we had a higher per capita income than our friends. Agricultural sector, we grew better. Industrial sector, we grew better. We created more jobs than they created in their 8 years in office. Lower fiscal deficit. A primary balance is lower than our friends from the other side. And it goes on and on and on. But, Mr. Speaker, let me address one very important matter, which is the question of the size of government. And indeed, the President, when he addressed this House, made the claim that he had formed the leanest and most effective government in the history of our country. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit that you can have 10 ministers, another government can have 20 ministers, and the government that has 20 ministers may have a smaller government machinery, a smaller government size than you who have 10 ministers. And I want to demonstrate that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's on record. The record is that the pegging or ranking of officials of the presidency are as follows, Mr. Speaker. since the inception of the fourth Republican dispensation. The Chief of Staff is pegged at the rank below the Speaker of Parliament, but above a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, a senior presidential advisor is pegged at the level of a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. So a senior presidential advisor, by all intents and purposes, their salaries, emolument, conditions of service, is equivalent to a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, a presidential advisor is pegged at the level of a cabinet minister who is not a member of Parliament. A presidential staffer is pegged at the level of a non-cabinet minister who is not a member of Parliament. And a presidential aide is pegged at the level of a deputy minister. These are the rankings since the inception of the fourth Republican dispensation. Mr. Speaker, so if you want to see the size of government and its bearing on the national exchequer, Mr. Speaker, don't just look at ministers and deputy ministers. Look at the government holistically. And Mr. Speaker, I want to submit that if you look at this government holistically, there are ministers, deputy ministers, senior presidential advisors, presidential staffers, presidential aides. President Mahama has formed arguably one of the biggest or largest governments in the history of our country as it relates to the cost on the national exchequer. Mr. Speaker, why do I say this? Take, for example, the president has appointed Dr. Valerie Sawyer as senior presidential advisor in charge of government affairs. Her rank is a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. So her salary, her emolument, conditions of service, everything to do with her office is at the same rank as a cabinet minister who doubles as a member of Parliament. The Speaker, he's appointed a presidential advisor on economy, appointed presidential advisor for 24-hour economy, presidential advisor and special aide to the president, presidential advisor on national anti-corruption program, presidential advisor on diaspora affairs. Mr. Speaker, he goes on to appoint presidential advisor, presidential staffer, and special aide to the vice president, presidential staffer for Black Star Experience, and then presidential staffer for diaspora affairs. Mr. Speaker, then he goes ahead to appoint 5 policy advisors to the vice president. Mr. Speaker, he tells the country that he's appointed a minister in charge of agribusiness, and yet he's appointed director at the presidency in charge of agriculture and agribusiness. My good friend Peter Buama Otukono. Mr. Speaker, he says he will not appoint deputy regional ministers, and he appoints 16 presidential staffers in charge of the 16 regions of our country. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit that these presidential staffers in charge of the 16 regions of our country, in essence, as it relates to the cost on the national exchequer, are in fact, indeed, and in substance, deputy ministers of state. Mr. Speaker, he then appoints, Mr. Speaker, listen carefully, please. Mr. Speaker, he then appoints 1 presidential advisor on media, 4 directors of communication at the office of the president, 5 deputy directors of communication, 2 communication specialists, 5 technical communication assistants, 1 media aide, 1 assistant media liaison officer, 1 communications consultant. We are grateful to Mr. President for fulfilling his obligation under Article 67 and making himself available to this House and presenting that apt a message on the state of the country. Mr. Speaker, you would realize that Mr. President spent less time in talking about the record that he came to meet. Indeed, we are hoping that in coming days, the ministers of state of the various sectors will truly get us to understand what His Excellency the President inherited, so that at the end of his tenure, we'll be able to judge from where he took, what he has added on or subtracted. Then we'll be able to judge that sincerely Mr. President has moved this country forward or backward. I think that will be a fair request to make. Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, I have listened to some debates already, and I listened to my good brother who just concluded and sat down. There's one truth, that yes, he has 60 ministers. Indeed, he hasn't even got 60 ministers yet. And there's a government machinery, advisors, etc. that go on. And you know that the appointments made so far are not even up to 50. And so if you had a government machinery that was run by over 300 men, and today you have a president that has not appointed up to 50, there's no way you can compare these sizes. And so being a House of Records, I think that we should be truthful to what the record really is. Mr. Speaker, in all these debates about the macroeconomic indicators, etc., there's one truth. Is it not true that the past government left this country with $721 billion Ghana cedis debt? Is it not true? That is true. Is it not true that President Mahamad's government in 2017 left $250,000 in the sinking fund? That's true. $50 million in the sinking fund. It is true. Is it not true that when Akufo-Addo government was leaving, cocoa sector rose alone accrued a debt of 21 billion Ghana cedis? That's true. Again, is it not true that when the Akufo-Addo government was leaving power, it left a cocoa sector debt of 32.5 billion Ghana cedis, and that by September, we will be due to pay 9 billion Ghana cedis out of that? Is it not true that production of cocoa actually reduced from the expected 850,000 metric tons to under 500,000 metric tons, and that we were not able to pay the forward sales of cocoa that we made to the tune of 333,000 metric tons that we are yet to pay and had to roll over, and that this year that payment is due? And that, things being equal, if the production remains under 500,000 metric tons, then it means that we will not even be able to sell any proper cocoa, any proper quantities of cocoa to rake in the needed revenue we need for this country. So, Mr. Speaker, some of these, catch the eye of the Speaker first, leader. So, Mr. Speaker, when you have these facts, this set of facts.
Honorable Member, take it easy. Honorable
friend Doc, I was actually enjoying his debate, and then he made a point.
So some members of parliament also are having a bite on the President's State of the Nation address as presented last week, Thursday. The debate continues. It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Stay with us. Michael Obodo is up next with the latest in the world of business after this quick break.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plan, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start, sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
And hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on Hot Edition. Coming up tonight, inflation rate drops marginally to 23.1% in February from 23.5% the previous month. Ahead, we'll hear from government statistician Professor Samuel Komna and Michael Obodu. Please stay tuned. Now straight into our top story. Ghana's inflation rate dropped marginally to 23.1% in February from 23.5% in January this year, according to the latest data from the Ghana Statistical Service. This is the second consecutive drop. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna attributed the marginal decline in inflation to the easing of rise in food and non-food prices.
In the month of February 2025, rate of inflation stood at 23.1%, indicating that general price levels of goods and services between February 2024 and February 2025 went up by 23.1%. This rate of inflation is lower than the rate of inflation that was recorded for the month of January 2025, as it dipped by 0.4 percentage points from 23.5% for January 2025 to 23.1% for February 2025. Disaggregation rate of inflation from a food and non-food perspective, we recorded a 9.3 percentage point difference between food inflation and non-food inflation, with food inflation 28.1% and non-food inflation 18.8%. Both food and non-food inflation have slowed down between January 2025 and February 2025, both slowing down by 0.4% in the month of February 2025.
So that was government statistician Professor Samuel Kobna speaking. Now, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, has revealed that the cost of the new Bank of Ghana head office increased by $88 million after the design, hence the need to conduct a value for money audit. Briefing a committee of parliament on the cost of the project, Dr. Isiama says steps have been taken to get the Architectural and Engineering Services Limited to conduct the audit after board approval.
We do recognize the significant public interest in the development of the new corporate headquarters. While this project was initiated before our tenure, we are fully aware of our responsibility to manage resources efficiently and to operate with transparency. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, we have scheduled for board agenda a detailed briefing on the new Bank of Ghana building by the project team members, and we intend to seek authorization from the board to engage AESL for a value for money audit into the new building. We believe this will bring clarity to the matter, and we believe this will bring closure to the issue of our new Bank of Ghana building.
And that was Central Bank Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama hinting at plans to launch value for money investigations into the new Bank of Ghana headquartered situated at Ridge in Accra. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry has called on the government to ensure that proper financial provisions are in place before awarding contracts. This move aims to prevent contractors from going unpaid for years after completing projects, a situation that has led to a significant cost overruns and wastage in the system. According to the CEO, Emmanuel Cherry, the government's inability to settle debts owed to road contractors has been a long-standing issue, with approximately $1.8 billion needed to pay these debts.
Before a contract is awarded, there must be proper financial provision. Provision must be made available. Okay, but if you just go ahead, just yielding to the pressure from traditional rulers or stakeholders and thereabout, you visit this particular traditional area, they says they want this and thereabout, out of pressure, you'll yield to it, irrespective of no budget provision. If that happens, there's a problem. Okay, so with this, what are we going to do? Let's try as much as possible that any project that will be awarded must have a budget provision. 2, all abandoned project is taxpayers' money that has been locked up in the ground there. What must you do to benefit from it as a taxpayer? Let us make conscious effort to complete those projects so that I can add on to the infrastructure space.
And here the CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry, speaking there, bringing an end to the business segment here on Hot Edition. For more business stories, please visit our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe. Up next is sports, and Oreku is on standby. Stay tuned.
Good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on Hot Edition on TFM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo. Let's start with the Ghana Premier League because 5 venues have been approved, 5 granted conditional approval, and 3 banned from hosting league games after the Ghana Football Association used its new safety and security protocols to rank match venues. The decision means that at least 2 venues, the University of Ghana Stadium and the Baba Yara Sports Stadium, which host Hearts of Oak and Asante Kotoko, needs last-minute work before league matches would resume this weekend. Ghana Football Association Secretary Prosper Harrison Addo has clarified the issue.
And so people have to understand it from that standpoint. We've not said that the entire stadium has been inspected and rejected. No. So each of the parks that we are playing or the stadia, we've gone through to look at the security concerns in terms of the safe zone. Of course, we look at other things, but this is mainly about the safe zone when it comes to Baba Yara and then the University of Ghana Stadium. So they have not been rejected as a club's licensing inspection rejection, no. What we've done is to work with the clubs who use the place and the facility owner so that we can do some work that would make the place even more secure.
And so that was Prosper Harrison Addo, who is the General Secretary of the Ghana Football Association. Meanwhile, Yao Preko, who is the head coach of Insachiman, says the attitude in the Ghana Premier League stadiums need to change significantly if things are to improve. Preko has managed across the league and says fan attitude is fueling a culture of insecurity across too many venues.
If they get to understand that you lose, you win, or you draw, and then everybody goes home and then prepare for the next match, you know. And for me personally, I think home must win is the cause of everything. And we think when you're playing home, you have to win at all costs. You have to win at all costs, and then the influence of the referees and it gets the supporters so it gets on their nerves. And some decisions doesn't go on their way, especially when you're playing home. You think everything should go for you.
Well, from football, let's now do some athletics, specifically inter-school athletics, because the 2025 edition of the Superzonals in the Ashanti region highlighted the potential of several talents, and one of them is Ernest Ichampon, the overall best athlete. He says he is not perturbed by the current struggles in transitioning athletes. He remains resolute in his aim to become one of the best in the country.
It is if you say, I say, as a in Shiradi, Say I'm Mishra, Bibi no Bebu Abamida, Mimi Honey say, Mabamunyade, Emuda, me work hard. Say, be ambitious, and I'm married, may never be pirate.
Still on athletics, Edwin Gadaye, a silver medalist at the 2023 African Games, thinks that athletes give these schools a good name in competitions and their well-being should also be prioritized.
For the athletes, my advice for them is to never give up. Although it's not easy, the beginning is not easy, but as soon as they didn't give up and they continue, they will be there. And for the other side, I would say the government have to come to their aid. They need support, and the nation needs support in terms of sports. And when you come to track and field, we lack support, especially government side. We lack support. So I'm pleading with the government to come to their aid.
Well, before we go, there's a number of Champions League matches later tonight, but the early kickoff between Feyenoord and Inter Milan has already seen 21 minutes being played. It's the home side who are dominating so far, with a couple of chances falling to Ghanaian winger Ibrahim Osman. Later tonight, there are 3 heavyweight clashes as Bayern Munich host country rivals Bayern Leverkusen in the round of 16. Benfica face Barcelona in Portugal in a repeat of the league phase game, which ended 4-5 in favor of the Spanish Giants. And then arguably the fixture of the round sees high scoring and in-form Paris Saint-Germain host Liverpool, who look like champions elect already in England. You can follow updates of all of these games on our social media handle at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofu.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start, sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
Up early every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiampofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start, sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
Welcome back to Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Y and beyond. The Minister for Roads and Highways, Kwame Govins Abuja, has inspected ongoing road construction projects in the Greater Accra region, urging contractors to accelerate work despite financial constraints and legal challenges. His tour covered key sites including Ofankonswam Road, Temaplau Road and Tema Akonsombo major highways, where he engaged contractors and assessed the progress of work.
It fits my mind that the basic thing that needed to be done, that is to have clear right of way. That is going to be the project.
Absolutely, sir. Yeah.
Whilst we haven't done that, we are ordering other things. So we order the things are there. We don't have the right of way. Because you see, what we are seeing here, we could have, if we have the right of way, we could have asked you, in fact, just where you are working, you will hardly see any traffic there. So as far as I'm concerned, to be honest, it is within the project scope. So it beats my mind that the basic thing that needed to...
We'll try to bring that back shortly to you. Apologies for that lack of clarity in the voice we just played to you. Would recall that in a bit, but in a world where religious and cultural differences often create division, NEMA is embracing religious diversity. It is home to Muslims, Christians, and people from diverse social, ethnic backgrounds who have learned to live in harmony. In our Ghana Month series, Christabel Success Trevor takes a look into how NEMA stands as a beacon of peaceful coexistence.
For years, NEMA has been a melting pot of cultures where people of different faiths and ethnic groups have built a strong community. This peaceful coexistence is not by accident. It is a result of mutual respect, shared traditions, and a deep understanding of each other's values. But what makes this unity possible? How do community leaders, religious groups, and everyday residents work together to ensure harmony? To understand how NEMA has maintained its peace over the years, I spoke to one of the religious leaders who plays a vital role in fostering unity.
Our religion, Islam, it means peace. So we live with everybody equally, no differences. Our only differences is the religion. Maybe we are praying, we are going to your church or wherever. So we don't have any problem with them. The celebration of our Salah, like you said, if we do our rice and the meat or wherever, they are the first person we're supposed to give because of the love.
But beyond leaders, it is the people of NEMA who uphold the unity. Fosaini has lived in the community for years and understands how peaceful coexistence works in this community.
I live here, I'm going to 60 years in NEMA. I was born in NEMA, living in NEMA. I'm a Muslim in NEMA. You know, we Muslims, we live here peace with Christians. We are Christian, we don't have problem. We are sharing, we are eating, we are moving together.
Ramadan is a sacred time for Muslims worldwide. But here in NEMA, a diverse community of Muslims and Christians, the spirit of Ramadan is embraced by all. Christian women in the community also show support, fostering peaceful coexistence. Hajia Hawa, a Muslim trader, shared how her Christian neighbor helps by watching her goods in the market while she is not around.
We Muslims, we are free. We like everybody. You are Christian. We are the same thing.
Florence Opari, a Christian trader, tells me she is mindful of her Muslim friends and tries not to irritate them. She tells me she even helps and attends Muslim celebrations each time she's invited.
You know them, they know you. You know their religion, they know your religion. You know what they want, they know what you want. You know what they hate. So you don't go to that side, you see. You don't provoke the person with the religion or whatever. So you just live nicely together, that's all.
In many communities, places of worship and meetings often define religious boundaries. But here at CDR in Nima, there are no divisions. Muslims, Christians, and people of all faiths share this space seamlessly. It's a rare example of true unity, where religion is not what separates people, but what brings them together. Whether Muslim, Christian, or from another faith, this place welcomes everyone without distinction. Revenue collector for Ayawaso East, Sarah Akwa, tells me there are no barriers, but people peacefully coexisting. At CDR, religion is not a dividing line, but a shared experience.
As Ghana celebrates its Heritage Month, this community reminds her that peaceful coexistence is not just an ideal, it is a reality that can be lived every day. Christabel Success Trevor, reporting for TV3.
And before we go, a criminal court in Accra has adjourned to April 7, the third retrial of the murder case involving Gregory Afoko. Mr. Afoko is currently on 500,000 cedis bail. And what we do know, after being held on remand at the Nsawam Medium Security Prison for nearly a decade, and Asaki Alangdi is also on death row following the request from the prosecution. The court granted the adjournment and adopted the new date for the retrial, provided that the 7-member jury is properly constituted. Gregory Afoko is standing trial for the May 2015 murder of the former Upper East Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Adams Mahama, who died from acid burns after being attacked at the entrance of his Bogatanga residence. The deceased had reportedly identified Gregory Afoko and Asaki Alangdi as his attackers before succumbing to his injuries. A 7-member jury, which unanimously convicted Asaki of conspiracy, acquitted Gregory Afoko of murder and conspiracy to commit murder after delivering a split verdict in April last year. The criminal court, presided over by Justice Maria Louise Simmons, is expected to commence a third retrial if all outstanding issues regarding jury composition are resolved in time for the next adjourned date. Now, for the background to this particular story, on February 24, an Accra High Court granted bail in the sum of some 500,000 cedis to Gregory Afoko, the junior brother of Paul Afoko, the former national chair of the New Patriotic Party, for allegedly the conspiracy to commit murder. He was also alleged to have conspired with the convicted Asaki Alagdi to murder Adams Mahama, a former Upper East Regional Chair of the New Patriotic Party. The bail sum must have two sureties, one of which must be justified. Lawyers for Afoko filed a fresh bail application before the Accra High Court on February 17, 2025, the third time the accused was praying the court to grant him bail after almost 10 years. Here's Gregory Afoko after he was granted bail last week.
Today you are going home.
Yes.
What would you tell Ghanaians?
Oh, I will only say we should have love for one another, and we shouldn't be wicked to one another.
Okay. Now you are going home.
Yes.
How does it feel today?
Oh, great.
It feels great.
Great.
For you.
Yes.
That's Gregory Afoko there. Hear him after he was granted bail. 10 years on, and this case has been traveling that particular path, and the background I just gave to you. And this is one that we're following keenly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. There's some news coming through right now The Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection has terminated the contracts of all regional and zonal coordinators under the Ghana School Feeding Program with immediate effect. No official reason was provided for the sudden termination. In a statement issued on March 4, 2025, Gender Minister Dr. Agnes Namamolate announced the decision, expressing gratitude to the affected coordinators for their service. Going to be hearing from Dr. Peter Pati-Anti in a bit on this particular matter. But part of the statement read, please be informed that the contracts of all regional and zonal coordinators of the Ghana School Feeding Program are hereby terminated with immediate effect. The affected staff have been instructed to report to the Ghana School Feeding Program Secretariat to collect their termination letters and complete their handover processes as well. The Ghana School Feeding Program, a government initiative designed to provide free meals to school children to boost enrollment, attendance and nutrition, has been a key social intervention program in Ghana. However, it has faced recurring challenges including funding delays, allegations of corruption and unpaid arrears to caterers. So this is the development coming through right now with respect to the school feeding program. And this is a statement that you can find on 3news.com, also 3FM927 on Facebook, and some more on 3news.com as well. So we're also in the regions to gauge the reactions of the various school feeding program caterers who, as we speak now, have had their contracts terminated. Join me at 10 p.m. for some more details and reactions to this and more on Ghana Tonight on TV3, which is also going to be live on 3FM 92.7. I want to say thank you so much for staying with us here on Hot Edition. The drive continues. My name is Alfred Ocansey. Have a good evening.